Hello, hello, here we go, it's the Keifer podcast.
What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to another Keifer podcast. And it's going to be our belated season award show. I think every person has done theirs, and we're about a month late, just late to the party. Let's go. Let's talk about the mad season that was last year. I've had a bit of a chill and just kind of after that mad season. We did a video last week with the Canate news, which actually we've just been talking about off air, which was nearly 2 weeks ago. So I feel a bit out of practice doing this, but we'll see how we get on. I'm Mick and joined by Keifer again. And I was thinking before, how many appearances is this for you now? It must be. I don't know if this is hat trick or.
I think it's a hat trick. Yeah, I think it's hat trick. I think
yeah.
There was one before Leeds, and then there was one after Southampton, or there was one after Leeds or something. I think I've got a match ball now, so I think I'm a proven Keifer pundit.
Oh my god! Well, I'll have to speak to Jay and get up the funds for the flyaway and we'll sign it and get it over to you. Get that quick flyaway on the way to you. But nice one for jumping on, lad. But before we start properly, we've got a new partner at the Keifer podcast, and it's Cali Designs. So if you're going over to calidesigns.co.uk, you can insert Keifer Pod 10 on checkout and get 10% off. Any prints that he does Klopp, he does Van Dijk, he does Gerrard, he does Hendo, there's fucking loads on there. So if you use Keifer Pod 10 on checkout, you get 10% off. All the info is in the description if you wanted to go and head over and have a look at those. But yeah, finally, how long we took there? 2 minutes. Let's crack on with this stuff, Keifer. Let's dive straight in. So I put a tweet up about, must have been 3 weeks ago, about asking 6 questions about the season just gone and who we thought were the top in those lists, and maybe a couple second place and third place and whatever else. And those questions were, so player of the season, then you've got goal of the season, you've got assist of the season, you've got most improved player, most disappointing player, and moment of the season. So we'll jump straight in to player of the season and any second or thirds that you think might be noteworthy.
I think obvious shout is Mo Salah, isn't it? I was just looking before at his numbers. I think it was 22 in the league and 31 in all competitions. And I always say he's such a victim of his own success in a way, isn't he? That first season he had, that Kiev year, and obviously ever since then, I think was it 44? I think he got that year, and ever since then, obviously he's just judged off that every year. But considering he was one behind Harry Kane or 2 behind Harry Kane, whatever he finished at the end, he single-handedly dragged this Liverpool side. Obviously, Tottenham weren't the greatest team this year, but considering the front three have all kind of had dips and there's been rotation. Jota's been out. Firmino hasn't been hitting the heights. Mane had probably his worst season to date. And Salah's just constantly been there every week scoring the goals. And, it's quite scary to think where Liverpool would be without him. We definitely wouldn't be in third position. But apart from Salah, obviously, again, another obvious shout for me is probably Fabinho. I just don't even know what to say about him. The only thing I would say is that, it's no coincidence that now Thiago's playing well is because Fabinho's alongside him in midfield. Now he's, finally returned. He's just absolute. I think they call him the lighthouse, don't they? I think Pep Linders calls him, and you can see why, because he just spots danger, and he's just so integral to this side. And he's kind of one of those. He does a bit of the dirty work, so you probably don't always appreciate it. And I don't think it's until you take him out the side or you put him at the back until you realise how much you miss him. But even at the back, this season, because I think his first game there was against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Obviously, one of Timo Werner's first games, and he just absolutely bossed it, didn't he? Obviously doesn't have the pace, but he had him at arm's length all afternoon, and he was just superb this season. So that'll probably be my second, and then obviously third is Nat Phillips. I probably don't need to say much on Nat Phillips. Just that this time last year, everyone was probably thinking not who is Nat Phillips, because obviously he came back for that Everton game in the cup, didn't he? But he was just kind of you'd put him in that category of Deadwood, wouldn't you? Just raise funds, couple millionaire, whatever. But considering his stock's probably at an all-time high now. He's proved he's a Premier League, a Premier League defender. He could play for I'd say 5 to 8 teams in this league comfortably. He's done well with Liverpool. Is Liverpool his future? That's a tough decision, but I'm sure he'll have plenty of suitors, and his story's so good as well. That's what I like about him. Obviously from getting released at Bolton, then he was going through that scholarship, wasn't he, in America, And then even last year he was going to go to Swansea, and it's just like it's proper like sliding doors moments, isn't it? Like, you know, one thing happens, then it's, you know, so he's been fantastic. And then obviously other shouts are like, you know, I'd even put Reece Williams in there. You know, he endured, you know, a bit of a difficult time, I think, in January at Old Trafford, didn't he, in the cup. But, you know, considering he was playing at Kidderminster last year in the National League North, whatever it was, to, you know, him and Phillips have kind of just dragged Liverpool to top four. I mean, there was that photo, wasn't there, on the final day of the season of them doing the lap of honour, and like he has the cut on his eye, and Phillips has the headband on, and it's just proper like gladiator stuff. And, you know, whether they play for Liverpool again, you know, whether they're here next season or not, like no one can take that away from them. Do you know what I mean? So obviously Salah's number one, Fabinho's number two, but I will be tempted to give it, you know, Phillips in third if you kind of disregard the kind of Salah and Fabinho shouts.
Yeah, and I think Doug in the comments there agrees with Fabinho for his versatility and Salah for his goals. Like what you said about Salah, like the goals. So what, he got 31 this year in all comps. That's his second best return. Like he obviously got 44 in his first year, but that was fucking alien. That was just like crazy numbers. And then 27 in his second, 23 in his third, and then 31 in his fourth, which is, it's mental, isn't it? Just how consistent he is, just putting the ball in the back of the net. He's one of the best that's ever done it in the Premier League, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's one of the best I think Liverpool have ever seen. You know, I think obviously you got your Gerrard and your Dalglish's, and some people say, you know, your John Barnes and those kind of players. But for me, I think it'll be one of those when Salah's gone and kind of the dust is settled, and you kind of, you know, you step away from it and you look and you think you'll probably walk away. Well, he walks away the Champions League, you know, Club World Cup, Super Cup, Premier League, you know, might get another Premier League, or he'll definitely get another couple of trophies, you'd think. And you think, you look back at it and you think he'll be one of the best, because he'll be like that face of this generation, if that makes sense, kind of thing. You know, it'll probably be like that front three, that Firmino, Mane, Salah will kind of be like the face of Klopp's success, if you know what I mean. For me, he's just, like I say, he's definitely the top 2 or 3 to do it for Liverpool. And I think he's just so disrespected, isn't he? And not that it bothers me, but it's more just like, outside of Liverpool, he's quite disrespected, isn't he, across the league, up and down. I think, you know, especially when you look at the praise Harry Kane gets and stuff like that, and you think Salah's, you know, matched him near enough or even bettered him on most of his seasons back in England. So he's just absolutely phenomenal. And obviously there's talk, obviously, with his contract, got I think 2 years left, doesn't it? 2023, I think it runs out. And, you know, there's talks of whether Liverpool should cash in on him. But, you know, if I'm Liverpool, I'm saying, you know, here's a blank checkbook. You know, you tell me what you want every week, and we'll put that down for you, because I think he's the one that you can't lose out the front three. You know what I mean? Like you've seen this year, when Firmino's not doing well, or Mane's enjoyed a bit of a dip. Like Salah can literally do it on his own. You'd build the side around him for the next 2 or 3, 4 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think he's only, is he 29 in?
I think so. A couple of weeks, isn't he?
Yeah, a couple of weeks. Yeah. So, I mean, there's this thing, isn't he, where people think that once you turn 30, you're all of a sudden an old man over the hill. I mean, I'm 32 this year, so that's probably true of me, because I'm an old bastard. I've been talking about COVID jobs before. I'm getting mine today, so I'm going to be wrote off for about 4 months with a fucking bruised arm or something. But Salah's he's just a monster, isn't he? Like, I think that Chelsea 2 years at Chelsea back in 2014, I think that kind of tarnishes what his perception in England is like, because I think he went there, didn't quite get the minutes that he deserved. Maybe I think people, when you see like interviews now with like former teammates of his from back then, they said he was like amazing in training, but he just didn't kind of get the minutes that he needed, and didn't get that progression that he needed. And then obviously went off to Fiorentina, then off to Roma, and then back to Liverpool to prove a point. And I think it's the fact that he did choose to come back to the Premier League, that he felt that he had unfinished business, and he had the balls to come back to the league that he didn't do so well in, to right those wrongs. And I think that is a testament to the character and the player, isn't it? Because that's just how good he is.
Yeah, 100%. I think obviously there's a bit of a weird mentality in England. It's like, you know, the Premier League is like self-proclaimed, isn't it, the best league in the world? It's like, you know, everyone, you know, it's head and shoulders above La Liga. That's what everyone kind of thinks, and whether that's true or not. And I think people are so desperate for people to fail in this league. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, as soon as Salah can't do it, and then he goes and does it in Serie A, everyone's like, well, that's because it's such a poor league. This, you know what I mean? And then no one kind of wants to give him the credit. You know what I mean? Like you say, he kind of put what he did at Roma on the line, you know, to come back, because he could have easily like flopped or whatever, you know, but he knew that he was good enough. And like you say, like you hear like, you know, De Bruyne, or you hear Hazard a lot, don't you, say that, you know, he was really good and whatever, and for whatever reason he didn't get the minutes. But I think it's quite telling in that Chelsea side. Obviously you got Lukaku, So he's gone to do like, you know, fantastic things. You've got De Bruyne, who's just won PFA Player of the Year for the second year in a row. Like, and you've got Salah. You know, the fact that they were all kind of let under the radar in that kind of 2 or 3 years at Chelsea, it makes you ask like a lot of questions, like whether was it Salah's fault? You know, was he not good enough, or was it just genuine? I think it was Mourinho, wouldn't it? It would have been his second stint. So you think, was it more of like a, you know, Mourinho's kind of refusal to kind of put the youth in there, and, you know, was it a bit of a sinking ship at Chelsea? So, like you say, it's just a testament to who he is to kind of come back and, you know, take that challenge on again. And like I say, he's not looked back. But I think you're definitely right. He still is tarnished for some reason with that first spell at Chelsea. Because like I say, I think people are so, you know, so happy to be like, this is the best league in the world. He can't do it. But obviously he's come back and he's, you know, absolutely smashed everything.
Yeah, I think just like the numbers themselves. I think he even gets tarnished with like, oh, he's not a team player and he's just got the goal machine, or he's a stat padder, and just a load of shit, like a load of just shit shouts. And it's like, well, 125 goals and 203 appearances. That is just for a right winger predominantly, who obviously is a forward. It's just, yeah, it's crazy numbers. And Dan's just put in the comments there, Salah has to be player of the season, and apart from an iffy February and March, Alisson actually had an outstanding season statistically again. Trent was the best player in the league from February. So yeah, there's a few we haven't even mentioned, like the likes of Thiago and Trent on the back end of the season. They were both boss as well.
Yeah, no, Trent was great, wasn't he? Post obviously the internationals, he was really good, and obviously, like, you know, obviously I've gutted for him personally with the whole kind of injury the other day. Obviously, you know, he's kind of fought to get back in the squad, and, you know, regardless of what you think of England or whatever, like personally for him, he'll as a player, like I imagine that's kind of like a peak, isn't it? You know what I mean, to represent your country in an international tournament. So, you know, I do feel gutted for him on that part, but at the same time, like, I was just trying to think of it. He's hardly had a rest, it feels like, because obviously he did the Kiev year, he played most of the games then. He went to the World Cup. Obviously, he didn't play at the World Cup, but he still went to Russia and travelled and trained and whatever. Then obviously he had the Champions League year, didn't he? Where we got to the final, we won that. So he's played obviously a 97-point season, you know, and then you know, played the European Cup in the June. Then obviously he's had last year, yes, he had the break with COVID, but, you know, it was a hard, you know what I mean? It was a weird break. It wasn't like he could switch off kind of thing. And then obviously there was a short pre-season. Then he's had this year. So it's, yeah, obviously I'm gutted for him, but I think he just needs a rest, you know what I mean? Because I would love to see his minutes over the last 3 years. I reckon him, Gini and Robbo would be up there probably. And Salah, obviously, because Salah already misses a game. They'd probably be your four, wouldn't they? He's not had a break. So hopefully, like you say, he'll kind of come back with that kind of same level. And he'll have a point to prove as well, because, you know, he's kind of got that, like with Curtis Jones, he's got that Scouse arrogance. It's like a good arrogance, and he channels it in a good way. Obviously, you know, when he scored that goal against Villa and Southgate's watching, and, you know, he's giving it like the eyes kind of thing. And he is boss, isn't he? He's fantastic. And like I say, hopefully he can have a better campaign next year. But if he's anything like he was from March to May, then he'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think you sometimes forget how young he is. Like, he's 23 in October. Like, and just looking at a quick look at his stats before we move on, like 33 in his breakout season, then 40, then 49, then 45. So when you look at the Mo Salahs as well, who's usually consistently appearing, it's usually near the 40s and 50s that those type of players are playing in all comps.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, so
especially with the whole COVID thing as well. Like, you know, like the whole kind of lockdown last year. Like I say, they got a break, but it was hardly a break as such, was it? It was, everyone was locked in, you couldn't do anything, and then obviously they had to play the season, the short pre-season. Like, I'm just amazed at like another one, another shout. Obviously not player of the season, but I think he had a really good kind of first, probably till January, I'd say, until we kind of dipped. But I thought Robertson was great, and not by his normal standards, but just in terms of like reliability. You know what I mean? I think he started every league game, did he? I think he started all 38. I think, you know, Tashikamus, he only played like 2 games, and he, like, you know, came on at the end kind of thing. And obviously there's a question there, obviously, is there something there that Klopp doesn't like about him, or does he just need time? But, you know, for Robbo to be available, you know, for like you say, it'll be 40, 50 games when you add up all competitions. It's just, you know, it's just a testament, is it, to his body and his professionalism and everything like that.
Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more, mate. But we've done 15 minutes on the first one there, so I didn't think that was going to be that long, but yeah, when you break it down, there's quite a few
contenders,
shouts, isn't it? But we'll go through all ours anyway first, and at the end I'll put a few screenshots of what people on Twitter were saying. So we'll see if I haven't proofread them, so they could be a bit mad, but we'll have a look anyway and see what people are saying. But the next one, So are we both? Anyway, we both agree Mo Salah's player of the season. By the way,
Yeah.
Let's agree on that one. Cool. So we'll go on to goal of the season, and for me, this should be like a 15-second segment because I'll let you go first. But what do you reckon for goal of the season?
Obviously, for me, it's Alisson. But obviously, I didn't want to be boring because I thought everyone would go for Alisson. So a few contenders. I've gone for Salah's second against West Ham. That breakaway goal, I think Trent switches it to Shaqiri and then touches it down and then plays it straight into Salah. And Salah, one or two touches, just slots it past Fabianski. Gone for Trent versus Villa just purely because of the whole kind of situation around it. It was the first game after the internationals, wasn't it? I think obviously Southgate's there and dying. Obviously, if we don't win that, we don't get top four. Do you know what I mean? It's those kind of games you look back on. And the 95th minute is proper Gerrard-esque, curling it into the back of the net. And then, Alisson. But I don't think you can look past Alisson. Obviously, I was lucky enough to be there, and my head just absolutely rolled on that went in. I've never known anything like it. It was just I still can't. It's been 6 weeks, and I still can't process it. I can't stop watching it back.
I think I messaged you straight away and was like, "You lucky bastards, you were there watching that. That must have been unbelievable." But yeah, I'm wearing this little bad boy for. We're coming to moments of the season. I think that's going to be obviously a contender. But like you said, there's some good shouts. There's Salah against Palace in the 7-0 win as well, where he was on the bench and he comes on and just belts one top corner. Fucking hell, what a finish! But I think Alisson's just for needing to win and last minute and just the whole thing, and then the season that he's had. His dad sadly passing away, and then all the emotion around it was just it couldn't have happened to any other club. I don't think in those circumstances to that person. It was just another stars aligned moment, and it was just magic, wasn't it? It literally was magic.
It was mental because I think Trent had a really good chance a couple of minutes before he cut inside and he blazed it over the bar with his left foot. Yeah. And my brother texted me and he was watching it and he said, "Oh, that's it done, isn't it?" And I was like, "There's still five minutes whatever." And then I think there was a free kick or something, and again it was a straight diag, and the keeper comes out, and I texted him, I was like, "Yeah, that's done." And I had my match report already and everything, and then obviously I was obviously doing a live feed on my Twitter, and I saw Alisson coming up, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just tweet it because out of context, Alisson is up," so I tweeted it anyway, and then obviously the ball goes in, and it just took an absolute age to hit. I don't know what it was like watching on the telly, but it took an absolute age to hit the back of the net. And at first, I thought it was Phillips, and then I just saw Alisson on his knees like that, and I was like, just one scroll of Twitter, and it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, honestly, just when you think Liverpool produce a moment where you just think that can't be topped, can it? Or there's nothing new they can do now. And for you to surprise you, and they constantly come up with new ways to do it. I think I put a tweet up saying first game of next season is Jurgen Klopp going to score a 30-yarder? Just because what the fuck else can happen? Seriously, it's getting to that stage, isn't it? If you keep scoring a winner in a game, you need to win.
He's such a good header. He's such a good header as well. It's not even like it's a scrappy goal line one. He's fully just got his neck muscles up, and I think Klopp said that in his post match, said if Giroud scores that, everyone won't stop talking about that for months. It's world class, and a goalkeeper's just done that. And like you say, obviously the whole context around it is just like you say, it's you kind of think Liverpool have outdone themselves with that kind of poetic kind of scripting of it, or you think as recently as Barcelona, you think that's the best ever. That's never going to get topped, and obviously the only thing that's probably deprived that moment is obviously there's no fans in. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, if there's fans in, that's probably up there with Barcelona, to be honest, isn't it? It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's just mental.
Yeah, I think when I think of something not really similar, but the goal by Mane against Villa Park in the last minute. And
yeah,
that was a moment because the fans were there, and that kind of raised that to a higher level. That obviously we were 1-0 down and we won the game in the last 5 minutes or whatever. But the fans in there elevated that to another level, and it is just a shame that no fans were there to witness. I mean, you were there, so you were lucky enough to be there. But we were all at home, just watching it on the telly, thinking, "Is my telly just fucking broke or something? What's going on?" He's just got the winner. Absolutely mental. But yeah, I think Alisson takes this one, doesn't he? Just for
easily
for a myriad of reasons. But let's move on to the next one, which is assist of the season. So, what are you thinking for this? I'll tell you mine because you mentioned it just before about when Salah scored against West Ham, and I think that ball by Shaqiri
Yeah.
to Salah. I mean, the touch by Salah made it what it was, but it just perfect curve and height and
Yeah.
just basically into his path, and it was a perfect breakaway goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That's what I've put down. I've put Shaqiri for Salah. I've also gone for Firmino for Salah at Leicester. You know, and he does that little like back heel kind of, and he puts it on a plate, and Salah just kills it. That was quite obviously lost the game, but yeah. And then obviously I've gone Trent for Alisson as well. I think that was a really like obviously, you know, Trent has his kind of iconic corner, doesn't he, against Barcelona, but like just sometimes we can be absolutely piss poor at corners. You know what I mean? Like really, really bad. And that delivery there is for Ali's goal is obviously, the header's fantastic, but I think the ball's really, really good. You know what I mean? But for me, it's like you say, it's a Shaqiri one. Just like you say, it's the ball from Trent initially, and then the touch by Shaqiri. Then he just bends it like it's just silly, isn't it? Like he's so good at that, Shaqiri, isn't he? Like, you know, granted we don't see him as much as we probably like or as much as we kind of did in the past, but you know, his technical ability, I don't think anyone could deny. Like, you know, dead ball situations, those kind of, he's just, he's great, isn't he?
Yeah, couldn't agree more, mate. Like, I mean, it's going to be interesting with Shaq in the summer, like if he moves on or whatever else. But yeah, I just think he's technically great, but maybe he would be better than a team where he's maybe more relied upon. I think, but I mean,
I think he's been linked with like Rome, hasn't he, and like Syria. I think he'd be great in there because the intensity isn't, you know, unless you're playing for like Inter Milan, obviously, like Conte's Inter Milan, where obviously he's left now, but Inter Milan were pretty aggressive in the press. But Syria's quite reserved, isn't it? And you get a lot of time on the ball, and like, you know, so if you had something like that, he'd be great. Do you know what I mean? Because he can just pick out a pass. He's got all the time in the world. Like you say, he's got the ability to get a shot off. Or it's just like Liverpool, where he's probably playing for like, along with City, probably the two most intense teams in the league, aren't they? And obviously he's not exactly the most intense player, is he? He's a bit of a luxury player in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, it will be an interesting one if we do keep him around, because if he's happy to be a squad player, I'm more than happy to keep him for maybe. I mean, you can see like where Klopp would bring him on for games where we need to maybe unlock a door or to be quite precise in the final third. And
there was that game against West Ham, wasn't there? Do you remember start of the year? It would have been like November, start of the season. Shaqiri comes on and just plays that. I think Jota, it was to Jota, I think, was it?
Yeah,
Shaqiri comes on, he just breaks he breaks the lines, doesn't he? Fantastic. He's just like he's like great at stuff like that. Like you say, last 15 minutes, last 20 minutes when he needs someone to unlock a defence or a bit of a low block. And like I say, he's got the technical ability. But yeah, like you say, it'd be interesting because I'd be happy to keep him around as a squad player because, you know, I'd like to see us go for an FA Cup or, you know, a domestic cup kind of thing. And he's obviously Bar City, obviously, you know, they can probably feel like 2-11s and probably get top four. But, you know, apart from everyone else in the league, like everyone else in the league probably struggles for like depth. And, you know, if you fielding teams with like those kind of players as like second string, I think you'd do all right, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's going to be an interesting one this summer. But yeah, we'll move on to most improved player. So, I mean, this one, I'm just going to choose the easy option again. But what do you reckon for most improved?
I've gone Nat Phillips and Reece Williams. Obviously, I think Nat Phillips is obviously going to be everyone's answer for obvious reasons. You know, obviously deserves it kind of thing. But I think Williams deserves a shout as well, just because. Obviously, Phillips is the thing is. I think everyone gets the perception that Phillips is quite young, but I think he's 23, isn't he, or 24? So he's not. You know, he has played first team football before, but obviously Reece Williams is 20, is he? Maybe I think about that age, 19, 20. So you know, he's played 23s football, and like he's not really played senior football, like professional football. And you know, to be thrown in this season. You know, in the sense that he has, and you know, obviously Phillips wasn't registered for the Champions League squad prior to Christmas, so it was obviously Williams playing a lot of the games. You know, I think he played Atalanta, didn't he, and you know, whatever. And yeah, I just think he's kind of gone under the radar because Phillips has been such a success story, which obviously, you know, fair enough to Phillips, but obviously Williams had that calamity at Old Trafford, didn't he? But I think that again, he played like a 20-year-old centre half, which is no, you know, disrespect to him. He played how you'd probably expect anyone. Like Trent had that at Old Trafford 2 or 3 years ago, didn't he? On Rashford, you know, turned him inside out a couple of times, and you know, he's come back into the team for the kind of last 10 games, hasn't he? I think 6 or 10 games. As one, Fabinho's kind of gone back into midfield. Thiago's come back in, whatever, and he's really flourished alongside Phillips or Kabak, whoever he's played against. So yeah, I think he deserves a shout for most improved.
Yeah, I think Reece Williams has done. I mean, like you said, he hasn't had that experience, and I think us having to rely on him was kind of like quite detrimental for him as well a little bit, because there was quite a lot of pressure, wasn't he, put on him, because obviously Phillips came in and done so well, so we were kind of like half hoping that he would do the same. I mean, like I said, he had some difficult moments, especially at Old Trafford, and he hasn't, like, Phillips hasn't got the pace, but he's got maybe a bit more positional sense, and that comes with age, doesn't it? So hopefully this will stand Reece Williams in good stead for the future, whatever that might be.
I think, like Phillips has like a standout attribute, doesn't he? His aerial kind of dominance. I don't think Williams has, like, you wouldn't, like, with someone like Van Dijk, obviously he's got it all, but you'd say like his pace and his aerial kind of are his two probably, and obviously his ability to play out. But like even Kabak had like good recovery pace over he took a while to get going, didn't he, Kabak? But then he would be all right. Phillips, like I say, he's got his aerial stuff. I don't think Williams has got something I would say, oh, he's really dominant in that department. And but you think, like, he played the game at Spurs, at Anfield when Firmino scored late. He played there, and obviously against Kane and Son, he did well there. And like you say, you wouldn't choose to introduce him into a season like this. You'd probably want to play it like a couple of League Cup games, a couple of FA Cup games, maybe a couple of dead-end Champions League games. But like you said, the fact that he's been thrown in against Kane, Son, Rashford, and those kind of players is like, obviously you'll sink or swim, and obviously he has found it difficult at times. But like you say, hopefully it will stand him in good stead for kind of his wherever his career takes him, whether that's Liverpool, whether that's somewhere else, whether that's a Championship or wherever. But I think he'll probably go on loan next season, won't he? And if that's to a Championship club, I think he'd do well there, wouldn't he? Because he's got enough about him to do well at that level, just maybe not at the top end of the Premier League.
Yeah, I think he's got coming from Kidderminster and then having to go in Liverpool's first team and kind of help propel us into top three is fucking ridiculous, really, to expect that of them both. But yeah, Nat Phillips played 17 games this year, so pretty much half of the season. He played games 20 in all comps, and the one that stands out for me, obviously Nat Phillips, but the performance that stands out for me is the Burnley one, where he scores and he gets man of the match, and they were just hoofing balls long, and he was just fucking pinging them away all game, and it was glorious. It was like old school defending, which was just so, like, I don't know, mesmerising to watch how good he is at doing the basics.
Yeah, no, it was great. I was at that game as well, so that was the one after the West Brom one, and he was fantastic. And I said to one of the other journalists, I said that he'd fit in at Burnley. Like, if there's one game you want to have a performance like that, Burnley probably thinking, if James Tarkowski goes to wherever, like a West Ham or something like that, obviously he's quite heavily linked with a move away. You'd think, Felix has probably put like a 9 out of 10 performance in at Turf Moor. You think, he's probably alerted that, doesn't he? Whether Felix wants to go there or not, but it wouldn't surprise me to see someone like a Burnley, who kind of not pride themselves on, because I think that's a bit disrespectful, but they kind of need like big aerial defenders. They're not too bothered about those playing out from the back, and I think he'd do really well. Then, like you say, it was such a good performance. Obviously, he gets the goal to top it off, and it's another great. And even like the week before at Old Trafford, then he got the assist for Jota, didn't he? Like it's mental because he got. Well, I don't have to give it as an own goal, but he deflected their one in, didn't he? Their first one, and then he just picks himself up and he goes again. He has a good performance. So yeah, no, it's both of them. Like even at Old Trafford, they both had, I think, was it Williams or Phillips? One of them cleared it off the line. I can't remember which one, but at 3-2, I can't remember. Williams, I want to say it was.
It might have been. I can't remember now, actually.
But then you think that's like the biggest, the biggest stage to do it on, kind of thing. And like Phillips has got an assist, he picked himself up, and Williams has picked himself up from the cup game in January and cleared him off the line, kind of thing. So I think they both kind of deserve that, that most improved kind of player award.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the reason why I think keeping Nat Phillips around is the best for all parties, because if we're playing a lot of the games next year, and if he's happy to, I mean, he probably knows he's not going to play as much next year. Yeah. We've got obviously San Canate, and we've got Van Dijk and Gomez and Matip coming back. So, I mean, if he sticks around, then we're going to be happy, aren't we? Because he's deserved it after what kind of propelling us to doing so well this season, at the end of the season.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, just a quick note. I was absolutely gutted that we've not kind of signed Kabak. I did feel really bad for him, because I did think he did. I thought he struggled at first. Obviously, as the Alisson makes that mistake at Leicester. Obviously, they're both kind of involved in that, and that's, I think, is his debut, isn't it? It was his first start, and then ever since then, he was pretty solid, wasn't he, for the next 10, 12 games, however many he played. And barring this kind of unbelievable run from Phillips of performances, Kabak's probably signing for Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? It's just another sliding doors moment, isn't it? Like, it's so I did feel a bit good for him, but like you say, it's, you know, maybe Phillips is happy to stay around next year as a fourth or fifth choice or however many we end up with next year. But like I say, I hope, obviously we've kind of learnt the lesson, you know, from last season. Obviously we didn't replace Lovren, and hopefully now I'd rather, you know, if we have 5 centre halves, and then, you know, it's better to be over prepared, because you know that, you know, Phillips is your bottom centre half. You know that he's done it in the Premier League, so everyone above him is going to be all right, if that makes sense. And it's just about quality, isn't it, and squad depth. And I think that's something that we've lacked, and it obviously really kind of derailed us, you know, this season just gone. And hopefully, like I say, we have enough in that department next year, and even in, you know, other departments, whether that be, you know, in the front three, or I just think that if there was one year, like obviously the COVID year, obviously it's been mental with fixtures and injuries and muscle injuries and everything, but I think it kind of just shows you expect to be safe than sorry, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's even, I mean, having a load of options, but then also having Fabinho, who, like you said earlier, about playing against Chelsea, done so well. Henderson done well as well there, although we didn't want to see him in there, but it was necessity. He had to go there. Them two haven't had a season like this, that helps them, and it gives us more options. Say someone gets injured and we want to put Fabinho in, I don't know, we buy a midfielder and we want to put them in DM, and we want to put Fabinho in centre half. That's doable. I mean, it's the Klopp way, in it. He wants players that can play as many positions as they can, like Jimmy Milner. So it's more the merrier for us. So let's just hope we get a few more in to kind of supplement those. But I think Nat Phillips wins that one easily, doesn't he? Just for being an absolute beast. But the next one is most disappointing player. What are you thinking on this one? I mean, all of them are quite positive, apart from, but I thought I'll have to put like a negative one in here before we finish on home into the season. But who do you reckon for this one?
I've gone Naby Keita. I've gone Naby Keita, and I've also thrown Marnie in there just because obviously he gets the goals on the last day of the season, doesn't he? But I just think in general he wasn't at his, you know, but he's got enough credit in the bank to kind of get away with it. You know, we've got Champions League. It's like, right, you know, go away in the summer and we'll kind of go again. And I hope obviously this isn't the start of like a decline for him, because, you know, he's been great for us, and he's 28, 29, so it's similar to Salah. So hopefully for him it was just a bad season kind of thing, because he said, didn't he, like he was looking at everything, that he was doing his diet and everything, he just couldn't work out why, and that just makes you feel like you just think gutted for him, just like. But I've gone for Keita purely just for, I've never, you know, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but I've never got the hype around him, if that makes sense. Obviously, like, he's done well at Leipzig and whatever, but I've just never seen it in a Liverpool shirt consistently. There's been good performances. I always remember the West Ham game. It was his first home game, and he was unbelievable. And then, you know, I think a couple of weeks later, he got injured at Napoli. And then, like, ever since then, it just feels like I've never seen a good performance from him, you know, and it's like, you know, like, he's got so much credit in the bank with some fans. Like, some fans are desperate to give him, you know, another, you know, but then it's like the same fans who desperate to get rid of Chamberlain. But I'd argue that Chamberlain's done more to warrant time at Liverpool than Naby Keita has. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I've gone for that just purely because, you know, his kind of availability is, you know, he's never available, is he really? And obviously he gets, you know, rightly or wrongly thrown in for that Real Madrid game in Madrid. You know, whether that was the right call from Klopp or not. It seemed a bit of a mental shout at that time, didn't it? And obviously it did backfire. So he wasn't good enough. And like I say, Klopp's probably not done him dirty there, but, you know, I think Klopp's got to take some of that responsibility in that situation, because he's looking at, that's probably Liverpool's biggest game of the season to date, and, you know, he's throwing him in. But I just don't think over the course of the season he was. I can't remember how many times he's played. What, I'd probably say like 15 games, isn't he? 16 games maybe. He just didn't do anything of note, did he?
No, I mean, I've just had a quick look there. Like, he played 33 in his first year, 27 year before that, a year after that, sorry, and then 16 last year. So yeah, and for the guy who's just turned 26, like, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because, like you said, there's a lot of fans who are kind of clamouring for Naby Keita to do well. I mean, I remember, like you said, that first game against West Ham, and I think he played Leicester. I don't know if it might have been last year, or might have been this year, might have been last year.
Yes.
I remember Leicester.
Boxing Day.
Yeah, he was boss for like 60 minutes, and then he goes down injured, and he's punching the turf, and you're like, fucking hell. And that's kind of that. If there was a moment that summed up his career, it was that, like, being really good for a small period of a game, running himself into the ground. He was chasing everything down, which is what Klopp demands, and maybe he just doesn't. accustomed to that as he gets a bit older. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if has he got time on his side. Do you think it's?
I don't know. He's got 2 years left on his contract, hasn't he? 2023. I think Chamberlain's the same. So it's like, I was doing a piece the other day on the pair of them, and I kind of said that like next season is do or die because like, obviously Chamberlain was 35 million kind of thing, and obviously Naby was 50, wasn't he? So you think if they don't put a good shift in this upcoming season, you think Liverpool will probably just cut their losses and take 20 million each on them if they can even get that, just cut that, rather than keep them for another year, pay them wages and let them go for a free. So I think this is, for Keifer as well, it's his third, is this going to be his fourth season, is it?
Yeah.
He had 18, 19, 19, 20, yeah, so this is his fourth season coming up, and he's not done anything really of any note, like you say, so I think he's really got to hit the ground running this season and kind of get himself, and especially like, obviously there's a lot of talk about, a Gini Wijnaldum replacement or, someone like a Tielemans, and, obviously, Wijnaldum's kind of availability, he plays 50 games a season, doesn't he? So Kate is never going to replicate that, but there's no reason why he couldn't be like the first replacement for Wijnaldum, and then Klopp goes in and gets like a lesser kind of person to kind of supplement the difference in games. You know what I mean? If there's an opportunity now at the minute for Kate to go in there this preseason and be like, I'm going to be the man, and then see what Klopp says, but I can't see it. And if it was me, I would be looking to kind of cut my losses, and if you can fund kind of some money in and then go out and spend it on a Tielemans or something like that, then I don't see why you wouldn't do that, because
Yeah, I know it is a shame, because like you said, he needs to, if he is to stick around, he needs to be fit and firing from minute one, because it's a big, like you said, it's a big opportunity for likes of him, big opportunity for Curtis Jones.
Yeah.
There's quite a few players there who are kind of thinking, well, the three at the moment in the midfield kind of picks itself, but with a long season, they need to be, like I said, supplemented with good performances and people who are going to be available for long periods.
Well, like you say, with the midfield, obviously, it's, on paper, you'd say it's going to be Henderson, Thiago, wouldn't you, Fabinho? But, Thiago's probably last 10 kind of come into it. So it's not like he's got that position absolutely secure as he. Obviously, Henderson's, obviously, we don't know what his fitness is like. He's probably not going to play a huge part of the Euros. So you don't, like, obviously, like you say, if they're all kind of fit and firing, but Thiago's obviously shown enough, but I don't think it's like he's untouchable. You know what I mean? Like Naby could easily go in there in the summer and put some good performances in. And like you say, they're quite injury prone. Not Fabinho, but Henderson and Thiago. I think they do pick up knocks here and there. Obviously, Thiago missed near enough the full first half of the season, didn't he? And Henderson missed nearly the whole second half. So like you say, in a long season, Curtis Jones, Naby Keita, you'd think they've got an opportunity there to kind of propel their name and kind of be that kind of first reserve kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? This. But whether they do that is another question.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still James Milner, 35-year-old James Milner, who's still going to be probably still there for another fucking 10 years or whatever, however long he wants. But it is a shame for Naby, but it is the moment where the people that are kind of clamouring to do well maybe are starting to think, oh, maybe we just need to cut our losses, like you're saying, Keifer, and just go 30 mil and the money elsewhere. But this is the season where if he sticks around, he needs to be doing it, and he needs to be staying fit. Otherwise, your Liverpool career is going to be ending shortly, which is a shame, because he came with such promise and we waited. It seemed like it was a long time for him.
Obviously, we struck that deal, didn't we? And we had to wait the year, didn't we, to get him, obviously. And there was so much, like, on Twitter, I remember, like, there was so much anticipation about getting the deal done. And there was this, I can't say I'd watched him much before, a few, like, YouTube videos and whatever, but I'd never really seen him. But, like, it felt like he was this proper landmark marquee signing that was going to take us to this next level and, maybe dislodge, like, a Wijnaldum or a Henderson or something like that. And, he takes the number 8 from Gerrard, he's at the next, like, Jeremy, there was that photo, wasn't there, of him and Gerrard. And, it's just absolutely mental, this hype that he's got. And like you say, there's so many people on Twitter who are just like fighting his corner, and I just think, like, what for? Do you know what I mean? Because, like, what has he done to kind of warrant that support? Like, obviously, he's a Liverpool player, obviously, but I mean, some people would like hand him a new contract tomorrow if they could. Do you know what I mean? I just don't get why.
Yeah, I think it's because of this. Like, he's kind of different, isn't he? Like, he's a ball carrier. He can score goals. Like, he proved against, like, the goal against Chelsea before last in the title winning year, where he belted one top goal, and he is capable, but that capability isn't shown often
on a regular
enough.
basis. Yeah,
that's the problem that we've got with Navigator. Obviously, he's a great player, but he needs to show it more often. But we'll finish up with moment of the season, and I think I'm just going to be a cop out again and just completely pick the obvious option. But what are you going to go for?
I'm going to let you have the one that I think you're going to go for, and I've gone for. It's a big one as well. I've gone for Salah at Old Trafford with that with his last minute goal. It was obviously very similar to the year before. We played him at Anfield, but obviously Alisson is obviously the main one. But that goal just, it was such a huge game at the time, wasn't it? I think there was 3 to go, I think, and the kind of. I just didn't think we were going to hold on, and then obviously it kind of breaks to Salah, and then there's that, just kind of how much it meant to him as well. Not that there was any doubt in how much he loves the club, but I think he's quite a reserved guy, isn't he? Salah, he's quite cool and composed. Like he has his cards quite close to his chest. Like he does the interview saying he'd be happy to play in Spain, but he also comes out and says I love Liverpool, and I feel like he loves it here, but like you'd never get him saying that exclusively. Do you know what I mean? I feel like he likes to be in control of the situation and kind of play a bit of hardball, but that kind of emotion that he let out at Old Trafford, he's just there, isn't he, with the captain's armband, I think, and he's just there, and it's just that for me that was top 4 basically done. I think it was Burnley and West Brom and Burnley, wasn't it, to go, and obviously they're difficult games on paper, but that game at Old Trafford was huge, wasn't it? Like if we didn't win that, then we were done. And like I say, again, a big moment, and he puts his name there, and he kind of gets that iconic photo, and yeah, I just made up for him. So that's probably my Barley Alisson one. That's probably my favourite moment.
Yeah, I think that obviously Old Trafford, we hadn't won there for, I don't know, was it
2014 was the last time. So 7 years.
7 years. That's a long time not to win a football match at a ground in it. So yeah, I understand that one. But that was just a great. I think it was just a great game, wasn't it? Like obviously we didn't start very well, but we ended up getting over the line, and then you're thinking Burnley and West Brom, surely not. We're surely not going to fuck it up here. And thankfully we never. But it's got to be Alisson for me, just for like we said on the goal of the season. I know it's the proper easy option, but it was just that moment where you think this is footy is fucking mad, and only Liverpool can do this, which is just blows your mind, doesn't it?
I think you're spot on there. Like just about football, I think obviously it's been a rubbish year for kind of everyone. Obviously we've not been able to go to the games, not been able to see the mates. A lot of people have been watching the game on their own or with minimal people that they'd normally watch it with. And for me, like there's personally, I've watched most of them on the TV, and like I just struggled to get up for them. A lot of the games, especially the few with the fans in. Obviously, the final day of the season that was great. Obviously, there was a couple at Christmas, wasn't there? The Tottenham game, whatever. But I remember even when we beat Tottenham, Firmino scored. Obviously, there was fans in, but it was just like sound we won, and I just went to bed. You know what I mean? It was like there was nothing to it. But with the Alisson goal, I think obviously, like I say, I was lucky enough to be there, but it just felt like everyone. Obviously, pubs were open, weren't they? And everyone had something to do for it. Do you know what I mean? And like, it was such a good moment. Even if you watched it on your own, you couldn't not be happy and go out. Kind of, it kind of was like the closest thing I think we've had to like a huge let off this year. Do you know what I mean? Because it was such a wild thing, and it just kind of, for me, it just kind of reminded me how good football was, because everyone was just like, I saw someone tweet the other day, ever since Alisson's scored that header, life's been great, and it just feels like that. Do you know what I mean? Everything's just been dead sound since then. So yeah, but that was just, if there was a reason why if you said to someone like, if someone said to you like, why do you like football? I would just show them that video, and I'd be like, just look at that. Like I was trying to explain it to my mum, and I was like, this is the goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? I was like, he's scored, and she was just like, how does that happen? I was like, I don't know. But it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think obviously that going along to, and then we end up getting third, and then Man United get beat by Villarreal, and then Chelsea win the Champions League, and then you're just like, this. I mean, it's
been great, isn't it?
I think there's another thing I've missed, but there was just like a load of moments where we're just like, this is like the most perfect end. I mean, obviously Chelsea and Man City, I didn't know who to fucking pick between those two, but
I started with Chelsea.
Yeah, I did. I think it was like 51-49 and Chelsea's favourite. But well, we've done 44 minutes there, so that's good. I thought this was gonna be a quick one, to be fair, because I thought we'll go pick all the obvious ones. Well, I did anyway, because I'm a boring bastard. But yeah, nice one, Keifer, for jumping on.
Thanks for having me.
Nice one to everyone in the comments. Let us know your answers to the questions in the comments below, if you agree or disagree. And I've just remembered, actually, we haven't looked at any other ones before we get off. Let's have a look at these. So we've got a couple. I'll fly through these before we go. So let's have a look at this one. So this is from Yuki. Player of the season, Mo. Goal of the season, Ali. Assist of the season, transfer, Jota. Jota's goal for Arsenal. Most improved, Nat. Most disappointing, Naby. Moment of the season, Ali's goal. Memory is still so fresh. I can watch the clip all day long. And then Paul's just put, I saved my typing in second chances. Yeah, I think they're solid, aren't they? And then we've got Frankie, player of the season, Mo, goal of the season, Alisson's at there, assist of the season, Trent against Arsenal, pure passion. Yeah, and then you've got most improved, Thiago or Nat Phillips, most disappointing player, Mane, and then moment, Alisson. Most improved player, Thiago.
Yeah, I had kind of thought about that angle, but like I think he was quite premature to judge him so early on. But obviously, he was playing with like different midfield partners every week, wasn't he? Obviously, there was no Fabinho. He was asked to do the 6th one week, the 8th the next week, and I just think it just wasn't the perfect setup. And then obviously we've seen him in the back end of the season playing with a balanced midfield, 2 defenders behind him, and he's done well. So that's kind of what I judge him off, not the kind of first 6 months that we saw when he was kind of thrown in ad hoc. Do you know what I mean? So I can see where he's coming from, but to me, I think that the Thiago we've seen in the last 10 games, I think that's what we'll see next year, on a more consistent basis. I think it was Burnley as well that he was just unbelievable, and everything that we do well goes through him. He's such a fantastic player, and I think people are so desperate again to write him off. It's like I was saying that people are so proud of the Premier League, be like, oh, he's not good enough. He can do it in the Bundesliga, and obviously he's a world class player. Do you know what I mean? He's won numerous trophies everywhere. I mean, like he was part of like Guardiola's revelation at Barca, wasn't he? He's a fantastic player. Like obviously he was going to be good enough for Liverpool, but I could say people were just so eager to kind of just like be idiots and be like, oh yeah, but obviously clearly he's a fantastic player.
It's the whole like no assists, like no goals and assists, and it's just people just banging that drum, going, oh well, if you don't score goals or assists, what do you do? Like, well, watch a game of footy and you'll see what he does.
I saw something. It was some journalist, and he put something like it might have been about when we were in a bit of a slump, maybe March or something, and he was saying that Thiago's got no goals, no assists. Like he looks like a distant player, the one that we saw at Bayern Munich last season. And someone was like, well, he only got 1 assist last season and no goals at Bayern Munich. So if he gets 1 assist this season, is he all of a sudden a world beater again? It's like you say, people just purely look at stats, and obviously, yes, stats are great. You can interpret them in any way you want, but it's what you don't see. Do you know what I mean? There's all these mad stats now, and like pre-assists and progressive passes and XG and X assists and everything like that. It's just like they're all sound, but just watch the game and you'll see who's a good player. Do you know what I mean? And those kind of things like that. So yeah, I'm banging the Thiago drum for next season. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, definitely same. I mean, I think the one you're talking about is Phil McNulty, where he was kind of saying
yes. I didn't want to name him.
Yeah, Phil McNulty it was. And I mean, I think I brought this up to who was it now? I had someone on the pod. I can't remember who it was. Dave Lynch. I think I brought it up every week for about 4 weeks because I was fuming about it. But I spoke to Dave Lynch about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I didn't agree with that one. That was a bit of a mad one. Yeah. It's just kind of. It just makes me think that they're doing it to get clicks on the pieces.
It probably is, isn't it?
It's a bit mad because you just need to watch a game of footy to realise what Thiago brings.
I think as well. I think everyone's kind of. I think as well because obviously he plays for us. Obviously, like we're not obviously the most popular club in the country, are we? So like there's that kind of people are so desperate for him to fail. But to be fair, like a lot of people I've spoke to don't necessarily support Liverpool. I think have kind of appreciated in the last kind of 6 to 8 weeks of the season how good he's been, you know what I mean, and what a good footballer he is. Because like I say, you don't win the Champions League twice, you don't win all those titles at Bayern Munich if you're a bad player. Do you know what I mean? He's fantastic. I think he could have had probably any pick of any team in Europe, couldn't he, off the back of last season, winning the Champions League with Bayern Munich, and obviously he chose Liverpool, and and I'm just looking forward to seeing him next season. Do you know what I mean? I really am. Like that goal he scored against Southampton, if that was in front of a full cop, that would have been unbelievable. So it's just moments like that, and I just can't wait. So fingers crossed in September and August he's his song's going out as well on the cup, and I'm really looking forward to it because it feels like we haven't seen him yet, if you know what I mean. Obviously he's been like a distant thing on the telly, hasn't he? And like even with the likes of Jota, like we haven't really seen him properly, if you know what I mean. So hopefully, like I say, we'll be in a full Anfield soon, and back to back to doing well and back to the top of the Premier League.
Yeah, let's fucking hope so. I mean, like I said, we've seen Thiago on the telly for Bayern, and then we've seen him on the telly for Liverpool. So it's kind of like we haven't seen him properly yet in the flesh. So that will, like I said, that will be nice. But let's fly, because we've got a few more to fly through here. So we've got one from Adam. Best player Mo, goal Alisson versus West Brom, and being biased for that goal was just awesome against the very stubborn West Brom team. Most improved Trent, then Nat. Trent. Disappointing Keifer, and a moment Alisson versus West Brom. Yeah, do you wanna dissect the Trent one?
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because like I think he was all right until probably he got that calf injury at City, didn't he? In like late November maybe. But I thought he was all right until then, and obviously he had the drop off from say Christmas. But I think collectively Liverpool had it. It wasn't like it was Trent. You know, like I say, anyone who watches Liverpool realise when you take that many cogs out of like Jurgen Klopp's side, you're not gonna kind of reap the rewards. And obviously Trent wasn't, because a huge part of Liverpool's game is relying on the fullbacks and offering that protection. The midfielders kind of cutting back and kind of doing the defending for like Robertson and Trent when they go forward. And I think Trent was obviously caught out because he didn't have someone to do that for him. And obviously, yeah, he wasn't enjoying his best kind of period in terms of just his all-round performance. But I think he's probably played now about 120 games for Liverpool, 130 games for Liverpool, and you think he's probably had like a 15 game, probably not even that, probably about a 10 game slump where he's not been great. The other 100 odd games he's been fantastic. So I think obviously we've seen enough of Trent to know that he wasn't a bad player, and he's not just come good this season. You know what I mean? He's been good for 3 or 4 seasons, hasn't he now?
Yeah, I think that must be Adam's angle. So yeah, you put that eloquently there to back Adam up with that one.
But just one for the West Brom one about Southern. They completely forgot about it, but the best part about that was that it was against Sam Allardyce, wasn't it? Just fantastic. Yeah. And his interview after, he was just like, his head had truly rolled off. I don't blame him, but it was absolutely perfect that it was against Sam Allardyce, because he's absolutely horrible, and he just sits there and he's just so smug, and for that to happen against him, just fantastic, made it even better.
Yeah, and then the whole proper sour interview after going,
he lost his head had gone. He was,
yeah, because they had a few chances, didn't they? Like, Alisson made a good save, and then I think
Trent covered one. Yeah, Trent came across the knee and covered one.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of them. I mean, they're such an awkward side to play against those kind of teams, especially they had nothing to play for at that kind of stage of the season. So it's kind of like, everything was on us. And to be fair, like they targeted the centre halves, didn't they? And they kind of knew they could get a bit of change out of them. But it was one of those, and we got through it. And like I say, it was. If you could pick a way to win a football game, it would be that. You know what I mean? I don't know if I would have known that was an option to win a football game, but to win like that against Sam Allardyce, like everything just included in that was just fantastic. Like you say, his interview and everything, it was just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even mention that, did we? So that's a good point. Like it was the whole package where the opponent's manager, Ali, his circumstances, us needing to win, keep us like
it's just amazing.
Shouldn't happen. Yeah, it was just fucking mental. But yeah, let's hope there's no more contentious ones in these following ones. Let's have a look. So best, we've got Fabinho, we've got goal, Salah's second versus West Ham away. I think that's the one we've just been talking about, isn't it? Against that's the one, isn't it? And the one you said as well, the assist Firmino against Leicester. Yeah. Most improved Nat, disappointing Keita, moment Alisson. That's from Shane. And then we've got from Yash, we've got player of the season, Salah, goal of the season, Alisson Becker's goal, assist, Shaq, I imagine the same one we've mentioned. Or it could be the one that you said against, was it against
West Ham?
Was it against West Ham?
Yeah, it could be that one.
Most improved player, Nat. Most disappointing player, Naby. And then I can't see the bottom, I'm sorry, so we'll miss that one off. We've got another one, player of the season, Salah, goal of the season, Alisson, assist, Trent Hotter against Arsenal. Most improved, Nat. Most disappointing, Kate.
Kate is getting rinsed, isn't he, today? Kate is getting absolutely rinsed in these comments.
Yeah, unless he's from the future and he's just watched yours and he meant to put your name instead. We've got Mike, player of the season, Fabiano. When did we sign him? It's Fabiano. was it? He was a beast.
What a player. What a player.
Yeah. Fucking hell. We'll have him. We'll have Adriano's 99 shot power on probably as well while we're there. Goal of the season, Salah away at West Ham. Shaq, that ball to Salah against West Ham. Nat Phillips most improved. Naby Keita let down again. Alex goal versus West Brom. Yeah, fucking hell. Mike says it how it is. We've got one from Ken. Player of the season, Mo. Goal of the season, Ali. Who else? Assist. Mo versus Arsenal. What's this playing? Tacky.
It's a
yeah.
weird one, that. I don't know. I mean, I feel like he hardly got any chances. It's obviously, we probably say the same with Keita, but Taki, it's not like he was exactly injury prone. Like, I think the thing with Keita is no one's doubting his ability. You know, if you can get, games together and you get minutes on the pitch, I don't think anyone's doubting that there's a genuinely a really good, player there. He could be world class one day. But I think with Taki, obviously there's obviously, he signed just before the pandemic. Obviously, he's had a hard start to life, but I feel like obviously he probably wasn't doing enough in training. Do you know? Obviously I don't know, but that's what I can only guess from, because it wasn't like he was injured all the time. Do you know what I mean? He was, and obviously he did all right at Southampton. I think he started with a bit of a bang and then he kind of just fizzled out, didn't he? Which is kind of sad, but he's just probably one of them. Took a punt on him from Salzburg. You're probably going to make profit on him. You know what I mean? Because he's racked up 30 Premier League games. You're probably going to make a few million quid on him, and again, just probably cut your losses and just say thanks, but not for us, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mentioned about Salah's goal against Palace earlier. I think that was the game where he scored, didn't he, quite early on? Yeah. And you're like, right there, because I think his inclusion in that game was kind of like in the Real Madrid, wasn't it? It was kind of this is because
Salah was benched, wasn't he? So it would have been Mane, Firmino, Taki. Yeah, I think Taki played off the left, didn't he? Yeah, and Mane played off the right, I think. Yeah, and he scored, like you say, after 30 seconds, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was a good goal, and we were kind of thinking that's the thing. Like, Klopp makes these decisions, and that one paid off, and obviously the Keita one against Real Madrid didn't. And I thought that was going to be like a kickstart for him, but obviously he just didn't get the minutes he wanted, did he? So
the Taki one was weird as well, because his loan kind of came out of nowhere as well. I think it was like deadline day, wasn't it? And it kind of just came out of, it wasn't like you could maybe see him going, but it kind of just came out. I remember I just went on my phone one night and it was like, oh, Minamino's off to Southampton. It was dead late at night, and I was like, hang on, like we could probably do with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, but for whatever reason, Klopp, obviously sees more than me and you and everyone kind of on Twitter. So, Klopp's made that decision, and you can say it's kind of paid off, because he hasn't set the world alight at Southampton, has he? And if he can't really be doing it, obviously, they've had a massive drop off themselves. But if he can't kind of be like if you look at Harvey Elliott, he's gone to like a championship side, and he's not a great side, Blackburn, but they're they finished 16th, 17th kind of thing, didn't they? Mid-table kind of thing, and he's kind of set the championship alight, hasn't he? Not playing in a great side, but Taki hasn't done that, and I think that's the kind of difference. You think if they come back in pre-season, you've got Harvey Elliott above Minamino, haven't you? He's young. You kind of builded him for the future, and you kind of just say to him next. Well, I would certainly say, go out and see what you can do next season in bits and bobs in the cup games and the odd Champions League game. If it's a bit of a dead rubber, the odd Prem game here and there, and see what you can do. But I just think there's too many people above him now.
Yeah, I think that when he left, it was. Twitter was fucking fuming when he left. Yeah. Twitter was one of the most vitriolic moments on Twitter, like just fucking shit flying everywhere, going, why are we getting rid of Taki? We need options and everything. And it's like, well, yeah, he's just obviously Klopp knows better than us, doesn't he? So just kind of, he
scored that goal against Newcastle, do you remember? It was a belter, wasn't it, from that proper tight angle, and he smashed it in. And then everyone was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like you said, everyone was acting as if he was like this Ballon d'Or winner go, and everyone was like, we're going to get relegated. Do you know what I mean? Like, everything on Twitter is so like, it's got to be either really, really good or really, really bad. Like, there's no kind of rationale behind any tweet, is there ever? It's just it's so extreme or knee jerk. And obviously that was another example of it.
Yeah, I think everyone was watching Southampton's games, and if he didn't start, it was like, fucking hell, why isn't he starting Taki? And then if he scored, it was like, I told you we should have kept him. Just just that like high and mighty like outlook that you just want to reply and go, fuck off, just fuck off.
There was a few of those in our group chat, just people being like, we should have kept him. Do you know what I mean? Like every Southampton game, it was just like, he's starting. It's like, yeah, he's starting for Southampton, who were like 15th. We're going for top 4 here. There's a difference.
Yeah, I know. It just, it does make you laugh. But let's fly through these, because we're getting on for a fucking hour here. Fucking hell. So we've got one from Karen. Player of the season, Fabinho. Goal of the season, Salah's second best West Ham. Goal of the season, assist of the season, sorry, Shaqiri to Hoffman
Most
versus
improved
West Ham.
Jones.
Most
Yeah,
improved Jones. Yeah, good show.
I can get behind that. Yeah.
Yeah, most disappointing. I can't say the word disappointing today. Most disappointing. There we go. Mane, and then obviously Alisson for the last one. We've got Katie, the real copycat. Player of the season, Mo. Goal of the season, Ali. Assist of the season, Shaq to Mo. Matt Phillips, most improved. Most disappointing for me now. Pains me to say this as I really love the fella. Moment of the season, Ali's goal. Yeah, Firmino one is one we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like obviously goals I've never really defined for me now, have they? And obviously he went on that really long drought for the most of last season. Then he got the goal against Chelsea on that title night, didn't he? But I felt this like last year, those times, or certainly in the first half of this year. I remember that Villa game, 7-2, and I just remember thinking like he doesn't offer anything. You know what I mean? Obviously he scored a few more goals this year, but I think the second half of the season, I think he's okay. He might not be scoring the goals that he's used to, but I think he's offering a lot more. Like I just think his link up plays there again, if that makes sense. Like he's dropping a lot deeper and kind of getting on the ball, and you know what I mean. Like he's got more to his game. I just think last year his confidence was shot, wasn't it? And I wouldn't say he was most disappointing. I'd say there was a far few worse than him. To be fair, I think that's quite harsh on Bobby. But yeah, I just saying that because I do love him. Do you know what I mean? But you know what I mean? I can't see him get slandered. But yeah, I mean, time will tell with him again. Like I think he's 30, is he? Or is he approaching 30? So he's another one. Obviously, you probably think one more year, maybe. Probably you think how much running he's done over the past 4 or 5 years, 6 years, whatever. Yeah, I'd probably say he's probably got one more year left, hasn't he? Because I think his contract's 2023 as well, and I can't see us giving him a new one. Yeah. And I can't see us letting him go. He might go on a free, to be fair, but I just think you probably want to recoup a bit of some of his money and some of his wages. So that'll be an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, I think everyone loves Bobby, don't they, for his kind of his different way of playing as a striker. I mean, he gets a lot of shit from United fans and everyone else saying defensive striker. He doesn't score. And then what I loved about that is then went and scored at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
scored
he got two. Did he get two?
Got two.
I think he got two.
That made that, like I said, I think that was your like moment of the season was the Salah, but like Firmino's goals were up there for me as well. Like I haven't mentioned, but yeah, that header was just crazy, wasn't it? So that's another one. Well,
I think it was Trent. Did Trent put the ball in, or was it Trent?
Was it Trent as well, yeah.
Yeah, because Trent ran that game. Trent was great, wasn't he? Old Trafford, he was really, really good that night. But yeah, like Bobby's one of those. I feel like everyone. He's like at times last season it felt like it's like when your pet's like on its way out and the vet's like, do you want to put it down? And you're like, nah, we've got another couple of years left. That's what it felt like times last season. You're kind of flogging a dead horse. But I think now he's kind of obviously kind of got back to it. Not to the level that we've seen in. I remember the Kiev season was probably his most prolific in terms of goals. I think he was just unbelievable. I think it was that year. But he's obviously not going to get those kind of goals. But I think when you've got Salah and Mane and kind of players like that, as inside forwards, you don't really need an out and out number 9 as much. That's kind of my view on it, because I think what you get out of Bobby is more than what you get out of say if you had a Timo Werner or whatever. Would he work in that kind of system? I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of like one of a kind, isn't he? Like because the job that he does, and he allows the rest of the players to flourish. Obviously, this season's been a bit of a mad one, so it's affected everyone. I think it's affected him more than most as well. So the fact that he had a good end of the season was nice.
Promising, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Because I think so many people had a dip. They did it in reverse, didn't they? So many people had like a really strong start to the season, and then kind of fell off a cliff kind of in kind of January, February, and March, and kind of picked it back up in April. But Firmino was kind of the opposite, wasn't he? He didn't have a great start. Okay, he got a few goals, and he got one at Chelsea, and a couple at Chelsea, and then he's finished really strongly, which is, like you say, really promising, because you think. Obviously, just talk about the Copa America, isn't there? Like, the Brazil boycotting that or whatever. So, if he gets a bit of rest this summer and he comes back next year, hopefully he can kind of have a good year for us and whatever.
Yeah, I do hope so, because he's like I said, he's well loved, and we don't want to give him the lethal injection yet. We want to keep him keep alive and kicking. But we've got 2 more left before we get out of here. We've got Doug's gone for Fabinho. A lot of Fabinho's here, actually, to be fair. I mean, it's not surprising for how well he's done, but I just think, I mean, maybe I'm just another boring bastard saying Salah's the easy option. But goal of the season, Ali, assist, Trent versus West Brom. most improved Nat, most disappointing Naby, and then moments of the seasons Wijnaldum's guard of honour.
Yeah.
Good shout.
Yeah.
Good shout that. And then last one, Bradley Mooney, player of the season Mo, goal of the season Ali, assist of the season, the one you said Firmino into Leicester, and then most improved Nat, most disappointing Keifer. And then moment of the season, I think I can just make out the words
Alisson, yeah.
Alisson, yeah. So
That's enough.
I mean, I think we've covered every single game there in an hour.
I was about to say, yeah.
So that's
Should be box office. Should be box office.
If you want to view more, just wire us £100 to either of our accounts, and we'll carry on for the rest of the day. But yeah, keep a nice one for taking the time to jump on.
No worries, thanks for having me.
Go and follow him on Twitter. You can see his little Twitter tag there underneath the bit on his video.
There we go.
You've got it. Yeah, there's another video coming out soon with I'm just doing a little plug for Jay because I know he'll enjoy it. Jay's doing like a Cop-Out Origins where he talks about the career of a Liverpool player and maybe all the highs and lows and stuff. And the first one he's going to do is Patrick Berger. So that should be coming out soon. So that's going to be have a look forward to that one because that'll be. I can't wait for it to myself. I haven't even seen it yet, and I can't wait for it. So have a look out for that. And yeah, usually I'd say see you next time, but I don't know when that's going to be. That could be. You can't write news. It could be tomorrow. It could be in 3 weeks, and we've signed 3 players. Let's hope it's sooner rather than later, and we've signed a few more players. But yeah, nice one to everyone in the comments. Nice one to Keifer again, and yeah, we'll see you next time.